So through all of this time, even as a teenager, 13, 14 years old, there was always something my dad would do which made me feel really awkward and embarrassed. Like when we were out in public, imagine we're out in public in like some store or something, right? And we go up to the cashier. There's something my dad would always do, and maybe your dad does it too. And you know what it was? He'd speak to people. You see, like, I've grown up halfway through like the social media smartphone era where like I grew up without that stuff, even though I grew up with the internet. I grew up, without a smartphone. I got my first phone at age like 14, 15 or something. So I grew up without that stuff, but I think my generation, still when we were teenagers, we were very like socially awkward, or at least I was. Quite shy, quite reserved. Like, you'd go into a shop and not have like extremely anxious thoughts or anything, but you wouldn't, at least I wouldn't have thought that it was like normal or right to speak to people more than the expected of oh hi, like, yeah, here's the stuff I want to buy, okay, yeah, thank you, here's, yeah, can I pay by card please? Like, I thought you were just supposed to leave it to that. But we'd go to the shop and my dad makes like a comment on something that's happening, and he'd turn around, there's like a family behind us, he'd end up speaking to them. They've got like a little daughter who's making a noise, and he'd like bend down and speak to her and stuff. And I always was so embarrassed by this. I always found it so awkward to be around. I was like, how can he just do this? That's like, doesn't he know? And then, it took me a good few years to realize like it's just social skills. Like, this is what a healthy human's supposed to be like. We're around people that are essentially part of our tribes, part of our community, and it's like you should essentially, like in this caveman primal way, identify that the people that you're physically around are friend. You should move them away from this neutral gray zone of this unambiguous person and actually see, okay, are they friend or are they foe? I was always scared to move them out there because they might be foe, and so I always just kept them in this like neutral zone. And I think this is why anxiety is so high these days, like social anxiety. You go to the gym, you put yourself in vulnerable conditions where you've got weight on you, maybe you're training neck or something, you're in a vulnerable condition, and maybe if you're not social, bro, everyone in there is like a neutral. That's literally never happened in any like species of humans or any species of animals or in humans. You don't spend time with people who are neutral. Think about like human tribes, right? Think about like animal tribes. There's not people who are neutral. You quickly identify if a person is friend or foe. Every animal does this. And then suddenly in the last like 10, 20 years, we don't do this anymore. And I think this is why we feel so socially anxious. So when we would go somewhere, it's like my dad would literally, like, imagine we're all on some like family trip in a park and we'd walk past another family. My dad would always say like hiya to them. And he'd always end up speaking to like the little kids and like, oh, like, like the little girl's got this or something. And I always thought that was like so cringe, so weird. It turned out I just had shit social skills, and probably you do too. I think, right, and I'm not perfect at this whatsoever. I still need to improve my social skills when it comes to like meeting strangers. But I think the weirder thing is to just walk past someone, to make eye contact with someone, and to be physically next to someone and not saying anything to them. Like, imagine you get into an elevator and someone else comes in and you just like stand there awkwardly. I think that's the weirder thing. At the very least, bro, hold some eye contact with someone and smile and give them a nod. Like, so, like I go running every day, right? So I have like music in or something. I'm running. I've got like a hat on and everything. I'm just focused, right? I'm focused. But I found those times when I just like, pretend to be ultra focused and I'm just walking, like, staring forward while someone's walking up towards me. I find those times that I'm way more like anxious because I'm not identifying if this person is like friend or foe. And obviously like 99.999% of the times they're friend. But then the times that I go on a run, and I make sure to hold the eye contact with the person that I'm going past. And I just give like, I'm like out of breath or anything, so I don't want to stop. And, oh, hey, how are you? Oh, good morning. Like, I don't want to talk. So literally I just give him like sometimes like a friendly wink or like a smile or a nod or something like that. And that just literally like brings like a smile to my face. That's how connected you should be in your community. And in every like instance possible, when you're physically next to people, you should physically like literally turn your head, look into their eyes and give them some kind of indication that you are like friend. This is weird to do in the modern day, but I think it's so valuable. Like, it's something that I've previously called old man vibe. It's the old man vibe. Old men will walk past and they've got literally like no shame to do this. They'll happily speak to you. Literally, you're there in your green shirt, and they're like, oh, I used to have a green shirt just like that when I was a paratrooper in the 60s. And just straight away, he's giving you his life story. It's fucking sick, bro. I love that. Like, when I was training on the gymnastic ring, so there was a phase of my life for like a 6 months, 12 months, I'm literally working out outside. Like, and lots of people would walk past me and I'd be there, like, shirtless, like, training gymnastics, like, against the tree. And always, almost literally 99% of the time, of the people who would actually stop, literally, like, physically stop and just watch me and then make a comment and end up getting into a conversation, it was always old men. In a good way. Like, that's how you're supposed to be in your community. You're supposed to, like, you know, you see something a little bit abnormal, you see someone doing like push-ups outside in the park, you're supposed to, like, you obviously don't disturb him, but you're supposed to be able to, like, look him in the eyes and say, like, literally, it sounds silly, but like, literally say something as simple like, oh, you're doing push-ups. Like, I know that sounds so silly, but it's like, we're supposed to acknowledge each other's existence, and these days that's seen as like weird. And I think that's the weird thing, and I'm, you know, guilty of this too. Old man vibe, old man energy, like, just increase your social skills. It shouldn't be too hard to be able to look at the people next to you and to be able to just say something to them. Staying stuck inside of your head, you know, in the Sigma male grind set of, like, you know, but there's a lot of people watching this with excuses right now, like, oh, but I don't want to disturb anyone else. Oh, but I'm focused on my own thing, bro. I'm telling you right now, those people with those excuses live a much unhappier life, live a way, like, worse life where their mind is just in overrun. But the guy who thrusts himself out there into social situations, and, you know, you speak to the people you're around, you get into an elevator and you literally just say hi to the person who's come in, or you at least smile at them, at least look at their eyes, you'll find that you'll literally be thrown into presence, into mindfulness, and your mind will literally clear of thoughts and anxieties when you do this. And when you don't do this, when you do, it's going to happen, right? It happens to me loads of times, right? But when you do get into some kind of, you know, social situation, when there's people around you who aren't really friends and you don't say anything to them and you go in the Sigma mode of like, yeah, I'm just focused on what I'm doing, you will find that your mind will be in overdrive, because it's unnatural as a human to be around other humans and not at least acknowledge their existence. That's totally, like, that's weird. That is literally abnormal. It's not healthy to do that. That's a lesson I took away. So it's something that I still want to, like, I still need to improve on. Sometimes I will walk into somewhere new and I'm like, you know, I just feel a bit shy or whatever, and I'm not feeling like ultra confident or whatever, so I'm not like looking at people, I'm not going the extra mile to speak to them, and those times are always worse. But the time when I go in and I actually like prep myself to think, yeah, I'm going to go the extra mile. Imagine I'm walking into a store, and sometimes they have like some kind of like cashier who sells cigarettes or whatever it is in like supermarkets right next to the front door. So I'll literally walk in and like smile at him, wave, and just say, you're right, hi, hello, good morning. Then you walk through, there's a security guard, look at the security guard and just smile and just say good morning to him, and then walk. And I guarantee literally just saying one good morning to literally the security guard of like some supermarket, or to one of the first cashiers there or something, I guarantee just that one will make the whole like grocery trip 10 times more present than if you just go in pretending to be focused, even though you've got more negative thoughts inside of you anyway.